the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day.
After the first referendum, I think a lot of people in the Yes campaign thought, well, it's going to be a little while before we get a second chance. But then, boom, all of a sudden there's Brexit, and here we are. I mean, one of the ideas I thought was important was to start building up Scotland's cultural confidence. I mean, that's a very important thing to do. If the next referendum's within a year or a couple of years, then there's not so much time to do that, and we have to get on with it immediately. This is going to involve possibly speaking to a different audience than we did before, which again, I think reinforces the idea that we need to support each other. There's going to be a range of voices needed.
What was the inspiration behind Lib Dems for Indy?
Well, why not? It can easily be sort of a forum for people who have voted Liberal Democrat in the past but are feeling to be disgruntled with the party, maybe feel that independence is not such a bad idea, but are looking for more answers.
Just over the past few years as well, I just had to come round to the idea of supporting independence. So when I saw that Labour for Independence had been set up as a group, it was just perfect for me.
Some of the most interesting people that came on were people that started as a no but moved over to yes, and to hear their story and how they made that journey was also a very useful tool for people to hear, because then they went out to speak to people in the street. They could explain these stories about how other people had made the journey, and this is something we need to keep in mind again, because again we need another 6% to make that journey. There's no magic bullet argument. You cannot convince everyone with one little thing. So the idea that all of the Scottish independent media is doing a different thing is very important, because each part of the independent media can help to convince another person in a different way. We can't all produce the same output. There is no magic bullet argument. We need lots of different arguments, and we need to promote them more.
The notion that Scotland will be able to remain a part of the United Kingdom and remain a part of the European Union is a fantasy. It's a complete waste of time. I wish I had hair, but it's not going to happen. You know, and I'm not going to spend my time wishing that's for something that's not going to happen. But it's important that the Scottish Government is seen to explore and completely exhaust those ideas, because there's an awful lot of people who really don't want to give up yet on that idea that it might be possible for Scotland to have it both ways. It's looking as though we're going to have an independence referendum a whole lot sooner than anybody anticipated. I think it's important, you know, to try and get people interested and enthused. So there's been quite a lot of interest in the blog, and people were asking me if I could come and do speaking events, and this is one of the ones that people have asked me to come and do. So I'm quite happy, and it gets the dog out for the night, and he gets dog biscuits and attention, so he's very happy. And if we can spread the message a wee bit about how important it is for us to get active and organised and get ourselves in gear for what looks as though it's going to be an independence referendum sometime within the next year or two. So it's all beginning to heat up again, and that's why I'm here tonight, in order to try and, well, just talk about what's going on and share experiences with people and just see how we can take things from here.
I think the idea about a second referendum so quickly after the first is a little bit frightening. However, carpe diem and all that, we have to take this moment and go forward with it. And the ground has moved under our feet. Brexit changes everything. A lot of people who were not disposed to listen to the arguments before are disposed to listen to them now. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to vote yes. That means there are more people now that it's possible to convince than there were.
Well, I think we're in a completely different ballgame now. When the first independence referendum, and I love the way that we can talk about the first independence referendum now, when the first independence referendum was called, the Scottish Digital media was very much in its infancy. Now I think it's a lot more established. There's a lot more players about. There's, for example, Common Space, which is a really wonderful site, wasn't there at all during the last independence referendum. And also people are far more aware of the power of social media now than they were before. It was one of the great learning experiences of the last independence referendum.
Immediately after the referendum, the mainstream media picture did not change. You know, BBC sort of in bed with Scottish Labour, everyone knows it, and that continued right along the line. It hasn't changed much. However, Brexit has thrown a little bit of a spanner into the works with the possibility that if there's a second referendum for Scottish independence, one or two of the newspapers might change sides and start supporting Scottish independence. But I think it's very important in the run-up to the next referendum that one of the mistakes that was made last time, it's no use begging the mainstream media to be nice. For the most part, they're not going to be nice. We have to rely on our own media, hope the mainstream media start to give us a fairer shout, but we can't rely on that. We need to support each other in this and get on with making our media and promoting it.
I think that the traditional media in Scotland isn't going to be as viscerally opposed to Scottish independence in the next independence referendum as they were the last time, certainly because the position of some of the unionist parties is very, very weak compared to what it was before. Like the Labour Party's almost been obliterated. So when another independence referendum is called, as I'm pretty sure, I think we all think that there will be, that those people will realise that there are no other options. The options that face Scotland, the choice that face us as a country is, do we want to have a forward-looking, outward-looking, progressive country based on the values of democracy and equality and social justice and respect for the environment and a sustainable economy, or do we want to be a part, an ignored northern province of a conservative, inward-looking, austerity-driven, neoconservative regime? So the next independence referendum is going to be seen very clearly as a fight between a progressive, outward-looking, forward-looking case for Scottish independence versus reactionary conservatism. And that's going to be far more stark than it was the last time. The last time there were voices who were able to make, or thought they were able to make, a case for a progressive United Kingdom. That case, I think, has been pretty much wiped out now. So it's a very interesting time. I think in a lot of ways the stakes are a lot higher in a lot of ways, because if we lose the next independence referendum, we really are screwed, really in a big way. So we have to be organised and we have to get our act together in order to fight this and win it. The information that most makes a difference to people is the information that people hear from people that they know and trust. That's what really gets a message out, and that's why it's important that that's the real strength of a grassroots movement. It can do that. It can reach into places that any sort of media, whether that's social media or traditional media, can't reach.
But the groundwork has been laid. We've got this grassroots network, but we also have this new media now. There's hundreds of websites, there's different podcasts, there's video sites, there's people making documentaries. It's all there now. We just need to use it in the right way, and we'll get there this time.